Greetings, guys, gals, non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. It was pretty much exactly a year ago now where I made a video about this woman named Carissa Collins and how she has given her womb to God, which has led her to having 11 children. And what do you do when you have 11 children? You post videos of them multiple times every single day in order to earn enough money to feed 11 children. And it's been a while since I've checked in with her, a year to be exact, and she came up on my For You page again recently and reminded me of the absolute nightmare that is her existence. So I thought that we would go and check in on what's been going on, see if she's added any new babies to the mix or if anything has changed in their circumstances. And so I thought I would take you on that journey with me, because if I have to suffer, you have to suffer. So Carissa's account is called The Collins Family because this account is all about the fact that, you know, they have 11 kids and that is all they are ever going to post about ever. And they, unfortunately, have 1.8 million followers, and they regularly get hundreds of thousands of views on their TikToks, with so many comments just being like, wow, what a beautiful family, what a beautiful family, because undoubtedly she goes and deletes a lot of comments. So many of the TikToks that she posts, like so many of them are paid partnerships. And that, I think, really demonstrates the fact that she is exploiting her kids so much. Like, she is using her kids for views, for money. The only way she is able to afford having 11 kids through working them every single day and posting their faces all over the internet to as many people as they can. And companies and brands eat it up because they don't care about the ethics of anything. They're just like, ooh, views, money. Ooh, I will pay you to keep exploiting your children because we can earn money off of you. Because capitalism is the worst, and this is the horrible world that we live in. It's so sad in so many ways, right? Because obviously it's terrible to be exploiting your kids for views, but she is like self-aware, but like still makes excuses for herself. Like, it's so bizarre because she has so many videos being like, my kids love doing this. Everyone's always accusing me of exploiting my kids and using them for views, but they love doing it. But then she goes and posts TikToks like this one.
I ain't never been humiliated and embarrassed like that in my whole entire life. Thanks to you.
Thanks to me?
Yeah, thanks to you.
And this is captioned, my kids when I make them film in public. This is not cute. It's not cute. Like, haha, I'm actively making my kids do something that they don't want to do and then posting it on the internet for millions of people to see. Like, that's not cute. That's not funny. I don't see anything that you should be like laughing about and showing off about being like, yeah, I use my kids for money. Yeah, I make them do things they don't want to do because it benefits me. Yeah, I humiliate them in public because it benefits me. Like, that's not cute. That's not funny. That's not relatable. I don't understand, like, how you can, like, do this and view this and think this and have this understanding that your kids are actively, like, reluctant and being like, lol, but it's so funny. No, it's not. No, it's not. And you know, it's one of those things where she's like, oh, you know, it's just the older kids, the teenagers, they're always embarrassed by their parents. There's a difference between a kid being like embarrassed by their parents or like, you know, not wanting to do something because they don't think it's cool, and like being embarrassed by their parents and not wanting to do something because it's not cool, but in front of like hundreds of thousands to millions of people and doing it to earn money. Like, you are embarrassing them in order for them to be able to like eat. And that's so fucked up. You know? Like, that's not okay. It's not funny. It's not cute. Like, how are you self-aware and so unaware at the same time? Like, your kids should not have to do things that they don't want to do in order to help you afford your lifestyle. Like, they should not have to work in order to pay the bills, because regardless of what you think, this is work. This is them having to earn money to be able to have a family this big. Like, they are having to work so you can keep having kids. And that's not okay on any level. And that's one of the most dangerous things about this woman. That is the most dangerous thing about this woman, is that a lot of her content revolves around this idea. You should give your womb to God. You should trust in God to decide how big your family is going to be by like not using birth control or anything like that, because God has a plan and he will provide. God will always provide for you. You shouldn't worry about your finances. You shouldn't worry about how much money you have and what you can afford, because God will find a way. God will make it so that you will be able go forwards and support your big family. Don't worry. Just keep popping out babies. He will provide for you. And in this instance, for her, basically, she is saying that like she has lots of kids and it was God's plan to make her TikTok famous. God's plan was for her to have 11 kids so that she could post videos of them on TikTok in order to earn money. Like they were struggling for money and then, oh, look, you know what I can do? I can make my kids work and then earn money off of that. And then I can keep popping out babies. I can just keep having them because the more I have, the more views I get because the more people are watching it. Like, whoa, I just feel like implying that God's plan was for you to get TikTok famous in order to keep having babies is such a ridiculous thing to say. And I'm not even religious, but that just doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel right to me, right? Like, good Lord. Acting as though getting TikTok famous and being able to earn money off of exploiting your children on the internet is like an act of God, and that anyone can do it, and that you know, if you have lots of kids and you're worried about affording them, like it's okay, God will come through, is completely ignoring the fact that firstly, a lot of people don't want to exploit their kids and work them in order to earn money because they're, you know, better parents. But also neglecting the fact that there are so many families who live below the poverty line. There are so many kids who live below the poverty line. There are millions of kids who are homeless because their families couldn't afford to like house and feed their children. Like there are millions of kids who are living below the poverty line and who are without places to live that are stable. There are so many people in those positions. And by saying like God will provide, just have faith, like you are leading more people into those positions, giving people, like it's good to have faith. Some people find a lot of comfort in faith, but giving unquestionable faith, like telling people to just like go forwards and do things without thinking because it'll all work out, is not always true. It worked for you, but it worked for you by doing a bad thing and by continuing to do a bad thing. Like if you were not exploiting your children, you would not be in a position where you're able to afford to look after all of your kids. And by telling everyone else that they are able to, you know, go forwards and have large families and it'll be okay because God will come through, it's just not true. Because like a lot of the people who are homeless, a lot of the kids who are below the poverty line, like they will be from Christian families. And so it's this thing as well of basically being like, well, God doesn't love you enough. Clearly you are not loving God enough. You are not doing enough for God because he is not choosing you. He is not guiding you. He is not providing for you. And it creates this like horrible sort of power structure of like being like, God came for me. He helped me be able to afford all these kids and he gave me a pathway because I love him more than you. And that's never said, but it is kind of implied based off of the fact that God does not come through for everyone. And it's really horrible to like imply that will work out for everyone, right? She has this one video that I think is one of the most, what the fuck did I just watch? Videos that I've ever seen. About government benefits, right? So she talks about government benefits and she says that they're a good thing. And I agree with this part of the statement, saying that, you know, there are a lot of people who are ashamed to accept help. There are a lot of people who think they aren't allowed to accept benefits and like, you know, get help for raising their children if they are living in a time where they are struggling financially and they feel a lot of shame around that. And she says, there's no need to feel shame. If you need the government assistance, please take the government assistance. And I agree with that. I think that that is completely fair, and I think that government benefits are a really good thing, and if you do need those, please do take advantage of those. There is no shame in that. We live in a capitalistic hellscape, and sometimes you are unable to earn the money that is required to be able to provide for yourself and for your family, so I agree with that. The way she justifies it is the most bizarre, horrifying thing I've ever heard, and whatever you are expecting for her to say right now, you're wrong. Buckle up for what you're about to listen to.
All right, guys, let's talk government assistance. There's this Christian idea that you cannot have more children or any children if you're on government assistance. Government assistance is seen as evil and wrong, but let's look at it biblically. So you know the Israelites in the Bible, they were slaves in Egypt for many years. And guess what? They were on government assistance. They were slaves. They got their food, their shelter, everything taken care of by the Egyptian government. And what did God do? He multiplied them greatly, massively, so he could deliver them. That's right. They couldn't take care of their own children. They didn't have their own houses, their own food system. They were taken care of by the government, and God multiplied them.
I honestly don't think I've ever been this speechless before. It's biblical to have government benefits because slaves needed government assistance. Slaves required government assistance in order to be able to live, and they still had kids, so that means that you're allowed government assistance and to keep having kids. What? What? I don't think that those two, no, I don't think that that is the comparison you should be making. I don't think that that is a good reason to be saying that you should accept government assistance. I think it's good to say accept help when you need it, but I think it's really strange to like talk about it in the way of like slaves. Because also keeping in mind that when slaves had kids, their kids were raised to also be slaves, which is, that's not a good thing. It's just such an astounding thing to say. It's such an astounding thing to say. Let's listen to a little bit more of what she says.
This idea that we have to have life all figured out in order to trust God with how many kids we have is so unbiblical. It's actually quite simple, and we make it way too hard. All we have to do is trust Yahuwah, trust God with everything in our life, and that includes how many children we have, when we have them, and how we have them. Yahuwah God is our provider. We can trust him to provide, and sometimes he might do that through government assistance. Now, no, I'm not talking about those people that use and abuse the government assistance program, that literally do nothing and just take all of their money. They don't work at life. They simply live off the government. That's not what I'm talking about.
Okay, girl, hitting pause here for a second. Listen, I agree you don't have to have everything all figured out, but I do think if you're like deciding to have kids, you should have something figured out. You shouldn't have kids if you are unable to provide for them and you are like struggling to be able to feed them. Like that is not something you should do. That is a selfish thing. And then though, the fucking audacity to be like, I'm not talking about the people who use and abuse and the people who work for nothing and just take government money of like hard-working Americans who pay their taxes and they don't work at anything and they just take government money to use to like feed themselves and live. Okay, sorry. You have 11 children. You continue to have children. And at times, having that many kids has meant you are unable to afford to have them just off of your salaries. So you've had to get government assistance. You wouldn't have had to get that government assistance if you didn't keep having kids. If you did not have 11 children, you could have like just a few children who live incredibly comfortable lives. Instead, you have 11, you cannot afford them with your own income, so you go to the government to help support you in having a family that is way too big for so many reasons. I would call that abusing the system way more than so many of the people that get accused of abusing the system, like people who have disabilities or people who just are unable to work or unable to find work. There are so many people who actually like need these benefits to survive for whatever reason, but you don't need to have 11 kids. I would say choosing to continue to have kids because you can get government assistance to help you raise those kids, that's abusing the system. I think that it's rare for people to actually abuse the system in ways that people are accused of doing. If you are continually having kids because the government is there to support you, that is one way that I truly believe you are abusing it, because you do not need to have that many kids. It is not fair to anyone. It is not fair to your kids. It's just not an okay thing to do. Other people abuse the system because they don't work at anything. What do you work at? Telling your kids to smile on camera so you can post them on the internet and earn money off of them? I don't think you're working hard at anything. Like, yeah, it's hard work being a mom. You've decided to have 11 kids. I would feel so much more sympathy for you in like how hard it is to be a mother and raise kids if you had less kids, because, you know, yeah, I'm sorry. I just think this is incredibly hypocritical, and fucked up and not a thing to encourage. Don't tell people to have kids because they can always get government assistance if they need it. Tell people to like take care of themselves, look after themselves, and like it is better to have less kids and give them a comfortable life than have a fuckload of kids and struggle.
As a big family of 11 children, we have had times where we were in need and times where we weren't. We have had times when we needed WIC or government assistance, Medicaid, and there's times that we haven't. And when we were on those assistance programs, the Lord multiplied our finances so we could get off of them. Sometimes the Lord uses the resources of the world to provide for his people. In our family, there were plenty of times when we had that next child that we couldn't provide for, according to the world. But if you serve Yahuwah, if you serve God, you know that he loves to do the impossible and he loves to prove everybody else wrong. When you live a life of faith, he shows up mighty. Like, the comment section is full of believers that think they know better than everybody else, saying you can only have children if you can afford them. What does that even mean? What does it mean, afford them? What is the amount that means you can afford them? Is it taking them to Disney World? Is it if you can buy them all the designer clothes? Is it if you can take them to every single fast food or dine-in restaurant? If I know one thing, it's this. Every single baby that the Lord blessed us with, after we gave birth to that baby, the Lord came through with a little bit of provision, a little more each time.
I love being like, what does it mean to be able to afford them? And then lists like things that cost a lot of money, like taking them to Disneyland, buying them designer clothes, taking them to eat out every single day. I like that she didn't mention the basic things of like being able to just feed them and house them and clothe them. Like, those things were not listed because she was trying to exaggerate and almost imply that everyone is able to do those basic things when they can't. Some people cannot feed their children and house their children and clothe their children. So like, yeah, if you cannot do those things, you cannot afford them. Why was that not brought up as a thing? Because you know that those things are a requirement. And it's astounding to me to act as though everyone can do that. Affording your kids, all right? And hear me out here. I don't know if this is a controversial take, but as we like to say, living and surviving are two different things. I think that you have to be able to provide for your children and keep them alive. Yes, food, water, shelter, education, etc. All of that is necessary for them. But I think if that is all you can do and you cannot provide any more than that, I would still say you cannot afford to have kids. Especially because I think a lot of the time that also implies you don't have time for them. And I think people often forget that time is also incredibly important. If you do not have the time to sit down and know each one of your kids individually and emotionally, like if you do not know your child, you cannot afford your kids. If you cannot afford the emotional energy, the time that requires to spend time with each child and know them, you cannot afford your kids. And if you have 11 kids, it doesn't matter how much money you have, you cannot afford your kids because you cannot know each child as an individual consistently from the time they are born to forever, or at least until they move out. Like, you are unable to do that. It is not possible to do that. So with 11 kids, You cannot afford your kids. Even if you were a millionaire, you cannot afford your kids. I also think, if you are unable to provide your kids with like a jacket in winter, or they're having to sleep on the floor, or it's freezing cold and there is no heating in your house, if you are unable to make sure they get all of their nutrients and like fruit and vegetables and things, you cannot afford your kids. It is not enough to just be able to like feed them and house them and that's it. You need to know them, and they deserve to be able to live and not just off of bare minimum. Also, if your ability to provide for them, if your income that you need to provide for your children comes from the labor of your children, you absolutely cannot afford your children. If your income is coming from them, you cannot afford them because that is not their responsibility. So you cannot afford your children, Carissa. You just can't. And telling other people that they can because God will come through is a lie, because for so many people that doesn't happen. And it also hasn't really happened for you because you cannot afford your children, not in the way that they need.
No, we're not millionaires. And yes, the majority of our parenting life, we have been paycheck to paycheck. But do you know how your faith grows? Your faith grows by being tested. And do you know how many children we didn't know how we were going to get the van to fit them all, or get a house that fits them all, or even get formula because I have breastfeeding issues? We didn't always have those answers, but that's called faith. Trusting that the Lord knows better than we do.
Okay, but if you didn't have 11 kids, that wouldn't have been an issue. You wouldn't have been put in the position of anxiety. Your kids wouldn't have been put in a position of anxiety, in a position in which they have to step up and earn money for you. You could have given your kids a very nice and comfortable life, but instead you continued to have children and force your family into living paycheck to paycheck, unable to know if you were able to even feed your baby because you decided you wanted another kid, because you decided you didn't want to use contraception, because God wanted to give you another baby. Like, that is such a selfish decision to be making. You are forcing your kids into like a position in which they do not have to be in. You can do what you want with your own life, but this is impacting your kids. This is about your kids before it is about you. And it's just an incredibly selfish thing to do. It's just so selfish. And then, like, what if it didn't work out? What if you weren't able to get millions of views on TikTok? Then where would you be? Then what would you be doing? What if God didn't come through for you? What if you continued to be paycheck to paycheck and then you had another kid and you couldn't afford to feed them? Then what? Like, it worked out for you, but you're acting as though it works out for everyone when it just doesn't. And it's so dangerous to be telling everyone to just have faith, because that's not enough.
Trusting that He is going to be our provider. What if the God who owns it all, the God with every resource at His fingertips, wants to use the things of this world to bless His people? He did it in the Bible, and He can do it again. So if the world or the comment section is making you feel bad about continuing to grow your family, remember that next baby, their life shouldn't hinge on the opinions of man, but only on the opinions of the Lord. Do you think this little baby cares about all the people that told me I should not get pregnant again? I don't think so. No, I think he's proud he has parents that trust God to give life.
This is the next thing, right? Of being like, do you think this baby cares that people think that I have too many kids? Do you think he cares about what the comments say? No, he's just grateful to have two parents that trust God. He's grateful to be alive. Here's the thing though, he's a baby. He's a baby. So like, no, he doesn't care that people are saying you can't afford him. He doesn't have a concept of what that means. But also, keep in mind, if he was never conceived, he would not have a thought at all, because he wouldn't exist. He can't be mad or upset that he wasn't born, because he wasn't born. He wasn't created. There was no thought to be have. Like, this is where people are so annoying in this thing, because there are so many people who have kids and raise them badly and are like, well, you should be grateful because you're alive. I gave you life. And it's like, they wouldn't have been upset to not be born if they weren't born, because they wouldn't have had they wouldn't have been alive to be upset. You don't need to be grateful to be alive. Because, you know, you can like love your life and be grateful for your life, and you can be happy you're alive, obviously, but you can also at the same time understand that like if you were never born, you couldn't regret not being born because you were never born, right? It's this thing as well of like, there are so many people who grow up in households like this one. There are so many people who grow up in households where they are below the poverty line, where they are abused, where they are XYZ, and they acknowledge that it would have been better for everyone if they weren't born, in a way, right? They're like, I went through a lot of suffering. My parents really struggled. Everything was really shit, and it would have been better if I wasn't born. And you can think that, and it sounds incredibly depressing, but you can think that as like an accepted thought in a way that is separate to like being suicidal. You know what I mean? A lot of people think that those are the same thing, and sometimes they are. There can be a correlation between like, I wish I wasn't born and I want to die, but that is not always true. You can acknowledge that like your parents probably should have gotten an abortion while also being like, but my life is good now and I'm like happy to keep living, right? There is a difference between those two things. You can acknowledge that like, you know, you probably shouldn't have been born. Your parents probably should have gotten an abortion or whatever. And like, you went through a lot of suffering that was unnecessary, and you wouldn't wish that suffering on anyone. You might be like, I think that other people in my parents' position should get an abortion. I don't think other kids should have to go through what I went through. And that is a valid thought to have, right? And that is separate from a suicidal thought. When they are the same thing and you're like, I shouldn't have been born, I want to die, then it's a problem that needs to be assessed and talked over. But I think that it's important to acknowledge that those can be two separate things. You can like understand that, you know, you think other people in the position your parents were in should not have kids, and also be happy that you were alive at the same time, right? You can have both of those things can be true. You can think that and still want to be alive and carry on living and enjoy the life that you have. Yeah? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. But there are a lot of people who, you know, reflect and acknowledge that their parents should not have been parents, and they went through a lot of suffering that was completely unnecessary and they shouldn't have had to go through, while also enjoying the lives that they have now. That's all I wanted to say. And it's frustrating when people like just view giving life as some miracle of being like, I gave life, I've done everything, you're so welcome, you should be grateful to be alive, because that's not how this works. Being a parent is so much more than that. You have to give them so much more than that. If you want them to truly be grateful for being alive, you have to give them something to be grateful for being alive, not just making them be alive. Yeah? Right? Okay. Yeesh. In this sort of line of being like, you know, my kids should be grateful that they're alive. Look, he's so grateful that he's alive. He should love me and think I'm great because I chose to make him alive, even though you didn't choose to make him alive. God chose to make him alive according to all of everything. But it's so obvious that she just views her children as stuff. She views them as accessories, right? She can come online all she wants and be like, I'm an attentive mother. I love all of my children. I give all of my children attention. I know all of them. I love them. They are not suffering. They're all equal and loved and yada, yada, yada. I view them as individuals. But then she posts a lot of videos like this.
I love stuff. I love this kind of stuff. All of this kind of stuff. This kind of stuff. This stuff and this stuff.
This stuff and pulling some of her kids. I love this stuff, pulling more of her kids, and this stuff, more of her kids. And I know that it's the sound, and I know that it's meant to be like a funny ha-ha thing. And I know that this is like it's not that deep, but it is that deep. I'm sorry. But in this situation, it is that deep, because I truly do just believe she views her kids as stuff. They are just props. They are just accessories. The fact that you can blatantly like use a TikTok audio to be like, oh, this is a video about having stuff. Kids, gather around. Let me film a TikTok with this audio so that I can use you to make money. I'll pull you on screen and be like, I love this stuff. Look, I love this stuff. I love all of this stuff. Look at all this stuff I have that I can post on the internet and earn money from. Like, you know, like that in itself, it's so ironic. It's this whole thing of like, once you hit having a certain number of kids, I truly believe they stop viewing them as people and they just start viewing them as, they are just like, look how many I have. This is a collection. This is a collection of things that I have. And like, dressing them up all the same. She does a lot of trying to dress them all the same, which I think really speaks on that and like is really attentive to the aesthetics of them. Like she makes a lot of videos of how they all look alike. So it's like, here's these two kids and look, they look the same. It's a whole video of like, do you have any twins? She doesn't have any twins, but she's like, this is a set of twins and this is a set of twins, just showing how alike some of her kids look. And then she's got so many videos of being like, look how much like me these kids look. Do you think they look more like her dad or more like me? And there's so much attention on how they look and that desire to have them be just a mini version of her. So she's got a video of being like, I never thought I would give birth to my twin, and standing next to her 14-year-old being like, look, we're the same. We look the same.
Oh my gosh, you guys are twins! We're actually not twins, we're sisters. But you guys literally talk at the exact same time.
What? No, we don't.
And you have the same moves.
What? That's so crazy.
I'm really confused right now.
Why?
And it's just this massive disconnect thing of just, I don't ever see her viewing them as anything more than props. All of the content just revolves around the fact of her being like, look how many kids I have. Look how many I have. Look how many I have. Look at them. Look at them. Don't they look like me? Don't they look like me? Look at it. Look at them. Like, pay attention to what they look like. Look at them. And look how many there are. Now tell me how great I am. Now, like, just look at me and tell me how incredible it is that I have 11 kids and ask me questions. And I'm going to come here and say that I'm better than all of you. And yeah, and that like, that's the whole thing, is that her kids are props and she doesn't view them as any more than that. No matter what she says, it's truly like you're unable to individually know your children on a personal level when you have this many. It's just not happening. And to pretend that it is it's just complete bullshit. It's so interesting how much she lacks self-awareness. Like, it's so interesting to see because she does like to act as though she is like the super present parent that's always there and she knows all of her kids. And like, she's so lucky because she gets to spend so much time with them. Like, she homeschools these kids, by the way. They don't go to school. They're all a different age. They're all in a different grade. She homeschools all of them and she still thinks that she's like an attentive parent, even though she posts TikToks like this one, which is when she's going to teach the rest of her kids, I use teach very loosely, for homeschool for the day. So she leaves her toddlers alone. How many toddlers are there? Where's the video? There are 4 toddlers, 4 young children who are being left at a table with crayons or felt tip pens. They're all just being left at a table unattended, unsupervised, no one's there watching. Well, she goes out and looks after the other 7 older kids. And she comes back in and the toddlers are all standing up on their chairs covered in pen because they've drawn all over each other. This is not good parenting. This is not attentive parenting. This is neglectful. You are on here being like, yeah, I don't have the capacity to look after all of my children, so I leave my 4 toddlers unattended for prolonged periods of time so I can go stand watch over 7 other kids who are teaching themselves because I'm not a qualified teacher and it's impossible to teach 7 different age groups at the same time. Like, what are you doing here? How is this cute and funny? She posted this thing he was relatable to. Like, what other homeschool moms, what do you do with your toddlers? Isn't it like this? Don't leave your toddlers unattended. If you cannot manage teaching this many kids and looking after this many kids at one time, which you cannot do, send them to school. At the very least, send them to school, because this is just straight up educational neglect. Like, it is not possible for you to be giving your kids a proper education, especially when you're not qualified to teach, right? Every single kid is at a different level and doing different things. I know for a fact she's not going to be able to teach like high school level fucking calculus or whatever. You cannot be a teacher. These kids are teaching themselves, and the older kids are most definitely helping teach the younger kids. And she's just there, I don't know, watching them, maybe answering questions occasionally. She hasn't actually talked about what she does at school. And then leaving 4 young children unattended to drawing each other. Like, that's not good parenting. That is neglectful. You are actively posting about the fact that you cannot look after all of your kids. You should not ever leave 4 toddlers unattended. Don't do that. One TikTok I find incredibly telling about how little she actually knows her children and how little they know her is this one that she posted, truly thinking that it was a funny haha moment and not just incredibly fucking upsetting.
Okay, guys, if your mom, your mom, went missing and the police came and asked you to describe me, how would you describe me so that they could find me?
White.
White?
With the pink dress. Long hair and a phone and
I know one.
mascara
Having no shoes.
and your phone stand.
My phone stand?
Yeah.
But if they said, like, is she fat or skinny?
Fat. Skinny.
She's what?
Familiar to a lot of people.
Okay.
Oh, she's on Instagram, Facebook, and
I know what this is. Yeah, me too. She's gonna say, am I pregnant or am I not pregnant? Yes, you're pregnant. We know. We get it.
I'm not pregnant. What are you talking about?
Okay.
And I just don't understand what would inspire you to post this. Like, it's wild to me to have such a massive lack of self-awareness that you truly like film videos like this and go like, yeah, this was funny and cute, I'm gonna put this on the internet. Girl, what? Why would you do that? This was painful to watch. This was painful to watch for so many reasons. Like, firstly, they know nothing about you. They didn't explain anything about you. The bare basics. Not even the younger ones who like would like potentially in questions like this explain things about your personality. They had nothing to give. Nothing to give at all. Other than phone. On her phone. Oh, she might be familiar to you. So like fully aware of the fact that you have a lot of people watching you. They have a lot of people that watch them. They know that they are like TikTok famous. Coming from the younger ones too, being like, oh, you might know her. She's on TikTok. She's on Facebook. She's on Instagram. Which, like, yeah, that is helpful to tell to a police officer, obviously. But to be the main way to describe your mother is, like, so unbelievably upsetting. And then the one prompt, the one question being like, would you say I'm skinny or fat? Like, that. An upsetting moral that is being taught to these kids, an upsetting value that is being taught to these kids just to have fat phobia just ingrained in them, because you know that this was like a trap question, right? You know that they're being taught this, and that's upsetting. But to make everything even worse, taking it further than the only thing they know about their mother is that she is always on her phone, being the oldest son in the middle, being so fed up and being like, this is another fucking pregnancy reveal, isn't it? You're about to tell us you're pregnant. We get it. We know, we get it. You stop doing this. And like just sounding truly like so tired and fed up. It's like so upsetting. That's so upsetting, especially because she is out here being like, she still wants to have more kids. She's still like, she's in her 40s and she understands that it's like less likely to happen now, but she's very wanting and open to having more kids. And these older kids especially, obviously, like, please, for the love of God, no more. And you can see it in all of the TikToks. Obviously, I'm censoring all the faces of these kids. The oldest one, I believe, is 15. So you won't be able to see on their faces how fed up the older kids look in all of these videos. But they look so tired and so over it. They do not want to be participating in these videos. They don't want to be there, but they are being forced to be there because the income of their family relies on them. You know for a fact that they are being treated as babysitters and having to look after the younger ones and like contribute to the house and their education and everything, because it's impossible for that to not be a job that they have. This is the other thing of having so many kids, is that they do treat it, once you get to a certain point, as like its own little unit. It's its own system. Parents, once they get to a certain point of having like, I don't know, 5 kids, are kind of just like, okay, well now we have an older one. When we have a baby, they can look after this one, and then they can just keep having kids. And as they get older, they have more and more babysitters being born into it. So now the 15-year-olds can look after the 5-year-olds while mom takes care of the little baby. And I know I keep just referring to mom. Dad is in the picture. He is there. Just not very often. He shows up in videos occasionally, but he's never talked about in the way of being a caregiver. In fact, she has many videos saying that she raises her kids by herself. She is a stay-at-home parent. She is their teacher. He is not. I don't know what he does. He used to be a basketball player, I believe. I don't know what he does now. But he does not help raise the kids as far as I can tell. She says that she has no help, which is a lie, because she has the help of her oldest kids, who are completely and utterly fed up. And you can see it in every video. You can hear it in their voices, and it's so upsetting. And I just know that as soon as they can, they are getting the fuck out of there. And that'll be interesting to see too, because as I said, the oldest one I think is 15 right now, and the youngest one is 2. So they're only a few years away from potentially being able to move out, and all of this money should go to the kids, but I don't think that that's what's going to happen. I doubt that their parents are like holding money aside, and even if they were, it would then have to be split amongst a lot of kids. But once the oldest couple move out, their family is significantly smaller, right? Like, they can't be posting about having 11 kids anymore, as year by year they move out. And it's like, okay, so what do you do now? What are you doing for income now? At that point, what will it become? And I know there's less kids to support, but still, having 6 kids is very expensive, and I don't think makes as good content as having 11 kids, you know? So there are so many variables that come up, and I'm so curious about what would happen with these kids later, and like how many of them will go no contact with their parents, how many of them will go no contact with each other, how many of them are going to like go in and try to rescue their siblings. Like, is there going to be an older one who moves out and takes a younger one with them? Like, I am curious to know what happens, but I also hope I never find out, because I hope that they're able to get their privacy, you know? And I just feel so bad for these kids, and it makes me so upset. And the fact that she's constantly posting videos like this and being so unaware and like not caring at all by how obviously distressed and upset and fed up these kids are, or even acknowledging that and just being like, kids being kids, they have to do it, is so fucked up. And one of the worst videos I came across, this one, and I'm so shocked by the fact there are no comments about this on this video. I'm like, genuinely cannot believe that all of the comments aren't about this. And I mean, if there were any, she may have gone in and deleted them, but like, the fact that not every comment is about this, and there are comments on this being like, beautiful family, beautiful, is astounding to me. And that's this video.
I'm Peppa Pig. This is my little brother George. This is Mummy Pig. And this is Daddy Pig. Peppa Pig.
I don't know if this is going to be copyrighted, so I'm going to repeat the audio, but I need to explain what's happening anyway. But basically, it's the Peppa Pig audio of I'm Peppa Pig, and it's one of the younger girls, and she has a big piece of tape on her chin up to above her head, and a parent is pulling on the tape. So when it does oink, they pull it so her nose lifts up to make it like a snout. And then it goes, and this is my brother George, and then the same thing. And then this is Mummy Pig, same thing. Daddy Pig, same thing, but all of the kids are around them this time. And the worst part about this, the thing that I cannot believe no one is talking about, is the fact that this girl is near bleeding right where the tape is. Like, she has got really bad skin irritation. So right underneath her nose, right where the tape is, when they pull up, which they yanked quite hard, I might add, it's like the skin is broken directly under her nose, right where it pulls. And then also down her chin is very obvious skin irritation, where either the skin is broken and it was bleeding, or it's like a rash. So either that has occurred because she is having a reaction to the tape and they've had to do multiple takes, and so it's caused this irritation either from pulling too hard, or maybe she's just allergic to the adhesive. I personally have reactions to adhesive and could potentially react in a similar way if I had tape put on my face. Yeah, so either she's had a reaction to the tape and they've done multiple takes, or they've done it too harshly and it's broken skin, they've pulled it off. I don't know what's happened. The tape has hurt her. Maybe she already had that irritation going into this. Maybe she had a rash from something else and it's unrelated. Either way though, she had that irritation before this. Why did they then choose to use her for this TikTok? There are 9 other kids to choose from. They could have chosen any of the other kids to do it, but they chose the one clearly got irritation right where the tape goes, that's the kid they chose to do that for. And like even being like, oh, she's the one who came up with the idea, which I don't know is true. They did not address this. There is nothing talking about this. Even if it was her idea to do this TikTok, like she wanted to do this sound, they asked who wants to be Peppa Pig and she was like, I do. It is your responsibility as a parent to be like, no, you're injured right now. We're not going to be doing that. If you really want to do this, we'll do this one another day, which again, don't think we should be doing it another day because I don't think we should be doing it any day, given the circumstances and the fact that they're going to film TikToks every day anyway. If your child requests to do this one and wants to be Peppa Pig and have the tape pulled on their nose and they are injured right where the tape goes, you say, not today. You are hurt right now and we need to wait until you're better, right? What are you doing putting tape over skin irritation? That's so fucked up. For what? For what? Like this is for a 5-second fucking TikTok. And it just shows how much the views are a priority over the well-being of their kids. It is just such a demonstration of how these kids, like their well-being comes second. Them being happy comes second. It is their ability to get views and make money that comes before everything else. And that's so fucking sad. It makes me so unbelievably sad for these kids. And it makes me so mad at this woman. The dad as well, obviously, like, he is not blameless in this. He's just not present. And that is a whole separate issue in itself. That is a completely different issue. He's not here preaching about how you should give your womb to God. He probably believes that. He most definitely believes that. But this isn't directed towards him because he's not there. I can't yell at him because I can't see him. But he's also bad. Don't think that I'm letting him get away with also being a bad person. He's not present in the lives of his 11 kids. So like, fuck him too. It's just so fucked up that they are using their kids to earn money and acting like it's what God wanted and then encouraging everyone else to do the same. Like it's so horrible. And I feel so sad for these kids. And the fact that this isn't classed as child abuse. And I've made a few videos about people with a lot of kids, and something that gets pointed out a lot that I hadn't really thought about because I kind of forgot was a thing is the fact that like, yeah, you are not allowed to have over like 5 dogs in a lot of places, yet you're allowed to have 11 kids. When you go out on like a school trip, you have to have like 1 adult for every 6 kids. Yet this is a woman with 11 kids, and yes, the dad is there, but they go out a lot without him. They're always around without him. She is responsible for looking after 11 kids, which you aren't allowed to do that when you go out on like school trips and things. So why is that allowed? There should be regulations on how many kids you are allowed to look after, basically. And it's astounding that like anyone can have kids, anyone can have as many kids as they want, and there's no regulations. We are stricter about how many pets a person can have than we are about how many kids a person can have. And I think that's not me being like, oh, we should just allow people to have an unlimited number of pets with no regulations. No, we should keep that. That is good. We should just also have that about kids. At the after scrolling through hundreds of TikToks and spending all day hating everything, I came across this one.
What if the real question isn't, should we have more kids, but should we stop? Because that's the question so many of us wrestle with, quietly, not always loud, but in our hearts. We live in a world that tells us there's a limit, a number that makes sense, a point where it becomes too much, too loud, too expensive, too overwhelming. And if we're honest, sometimes we feel that too. The fear, the exhaustion, the opinions from other people, the pressure to control everything and plan it perfectly. But what if this was never meant to be something we control? What if this part of our lives was always meant to be surrendered? My book, Should We Stop, isn't about convincing you to have more children. It's about asking a deeper question. Have we truly invited God into this decision, or have we already made up our minds? Because trusting God doesn't always look practical. It doesn't always fit the world's version of wisdom, but obedience has never been about comfort. It's about faith.
I saw this, and I am ashamed to say, I got really excited. Got so excited to see that she had a book because, like, of course she fucking wrote a book. Of course she has a book. And I got excited because I just finished my Doormat Mum book series, right? That took me so long to work on. And honestly, when I finished that series, when I uploaded the final video for that, I went into a bit of a depressive slump for a couple of weeks. It's been like 2 months and I'm still kind of struggling to get out of that because I loved working on that project so much. And I haven't found something like that. And so I saw that there was a book, that she wrote a book, and I was like, and then I found out that it's free. So like naturally I needed to know more. I had to know more about this book. I immediately went and searched it up because girl, no. No. Oh my God. People shouldn't write books. The fact that people just write books is wild. The fact that anyone can write a book is fucking wild. And like, it's great. Here's the thing. I love technology for the amount we can do. I think it's great that everyone has a creative outlet. Like anyone can make music and can publish music. Anyone can write a book and publish a book. Anyone can make a video and put make a career out of creative things. I think it's really cool that there is a way for anyone to write a book. But oh my God, the fact that anyone can write a book is fucking wild. I'm going to read you a little bit of the introduction for this book, and then you are going to let me know by leaving a like, by subscribing, by commenting, if you want me to do a video about this book. It will not be anywhere near as long and intense as my Doormat Mum series, because this book is only like 50 pages long, not like 170. And also I don't emotionally like connect and relate to this video in anywhere near the same way as I did with the other one. So this will not be like a big full 3-part, 3.5 hour video series. But do let me know if you want me to make this video. I probably will regardless of what you want, but like pretend that I won't, because I would really love it if you left a like and a comment and subscribed. So this is what it says. What does God say about family size and trusting him with how many children? I feel done. I can't provide. I don't have any more patience. I am tired. I get it. I felt all those feelings. My cup's been empty. My body's been tired. My heart has been weary. My resources have been exhausted. So when do you know if you're done having children? I have the best news for you. You won't know. That's what faith is. Surrendering the no, surrendering control, surrendering your feelings and knowledge, complete trust in only his plans and ways, knowing children come from him alone and he makes no mistakes. No other part of Christianity is based on our thoughts, feelings, or knowledge. The whole basis of faith is trusting God to do the impossible and giving him our will and life. Jesus said if we want to follow him, we must give up our life. Give God your womb and watch him do the impossible as you trust in him, and live in the freedom of not having to decide when you're done, but with an open heart to allow God to give as he pleases. Children will always be the greatest eternal blessing we will ever cultivate on this earth. So that's half the intro to the book. So if you want to see me talk about that, please do let me know, because I would so love to dive into that. And by love, I mean hate. I fucking love reading a good bad book. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on that, because it sounds like an absolute nightmare and I cannot wait to get my grubby little fingers on it. With that, I hope that you have enjoyed this video and this woman who has given her womb to God and encourages everyone else to do the same. It's definitely not at all problematic and horrible advice in the slightest, obviously. Yeah, and I'll probably be back to talk a bit more about her some other time. I really do love making videos like this and talking about these types of people, because I do love having a good rant. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that you did enjoy. A huge thank you to my Kiwi Cat patrons: Eden, Amelia, Rain Remaining, Mossy Moose, Bingo Bango, Who Ate My Mango, Kiarum, Bug Loves Cats, Kojo, The Beebs, Tess, Bree, Chastity, Beckett, Prismatic Petey, Sushi Kawaii, Phil the Duck, River, Queen Glimmer, Ella, Mr. Noodle, Radsack, Knitting Menace, Chris, Ellie, Ikazel, Alexis, and Nevea. I love and appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Keep fighting. I love you. Mwah. When you close your eyes, you